In 1972, UNESCO has given resolution regarding the protection of the world's cultural and natural heritage. It has defined natural heritage as the multifaceted of bioecological and geomorphological features of nature well-intentioned for protection. The planet Earth is a museum of natural heritage. Taking a closer look at the intricate patterns carved on the surface and subsurface, we see the details of evolution and mass destructions. Human lives are insignificant when we measure the continental birth and demise. The story of Kutch starts with the Gondwana splitting along the large-scale cracks and rifts across the continuous land of supercontinent. They subsequently formed large river systems just as today's Nile Rift Valley. With the time at about 50 million years, it no longer remained as valley but grew into a wider gulf and finally into the open sea roads where many giant Jurassic reptiles and enormous invertebrates used to rule the seas and oceans, while the titanic dinosaurs and enormous birds and insects dominated the lands both the sides of the Gulf. Numerous locations world over provides an insight of each facet of evolution of the Earth and life. One such vital example is a linear track of run surface that uplifted as Allah Bund in a single earthquake 200 years ago and blocked the Nara River to form a sweet water lake to the north and a large saline lake to the south of the Allah Bund on subsidence of Sindri Fort built on the bank of the river. Any well-exposed natural section of geological significance can be considered to be a geological heritage. It includes geological features that offer knowledge of Earth evolution through time, the Earth science research, teaching, or reference up to global to regional scale. There are 169 UNESCO Global Geoparks spread across 44 countries. While the global geoparks have until recently been concentrated in Europe and China, last few years have seen the Geoparks initiative spread worldwide, but India is yet to have one of its own. Gujarat state is a home to many geological important sites, which serve as field school for study of extensive varieties of rocks, minerals, fossils, soils, landforms, and the natural processes that shape the landscape. University Museum. The Geological Museum at the Department of Earth and Environmental Sciences, Kutch University, provides a glimpse of Kutch's geological heritage. The richness of this heritage can be seen at museum in its collection of rare samples of real fossils, various sedimentary structures, and minerals and rocks. Kutch exposes all types of geological features for basic and applied research by geoscientists. The fossil-rich rocks of Kutch represents past 200 million years of geological history, from Jurassic period to the present day. The rocks are highly fossiliferous, with varieties of mega, macro, and micro fossils, including the plants and vertebrates. Several episodes of tectonic movements deform the strata into complicated folds, shear zones, and network of faults. Mineral-rich landscape has been a popular destination for mining industry. Gujarat Mineral Development Corporation, a mining giant, has been operational in the mining industry since 1963. The Panandharo lignite mine commenced production way back in 1973-74, one of the biggest mines of GMDC Limited. This open-cast mine has been the source of good quality lignite. Through today, the mine is closed and come to a standstill. It stands as a field museum of geological heritage.
Since we have seen the lignite mine of Panandharo, which is one of the largest in India, The GMDC has extracted almost for 40 years the lignites, which is economically important. It has exposed wonderful sections of Eocene, Oligocene transition phase. From the lower Eocene to the middle Eocene to the upper Eocene, we can see wonderful climate change and depositional change. So, the sedimentologist and the scientists who work on the paleoclimates and the geologists who study the tertiary transition period, they can study each and every stage meticulously in this mine. This mine is itself is a wonderful sections for the geologist and must be preserved for the future generation scientists as well as students.
Panandharu Mine, the unending, desolate and hostile terrain of Great Run of Kutch, has no counterpart on this globe. Be it rivers, ridges, scarps, mudflats, or the vast salt pan or the grasslands, each element of Kutch landscape is with some reason and has a story assembled in sound.
We are in the Wire River bed of Western Kutch. This particular coral bed, which is important in the sense that it has immense fossils. It is called the Museum of Tertiary Fossils in entire Kutch. As we have seen in the Panandro mine sections, where in the upper part of the Panandro mine, we had a Babia Hill sections. So, Babia Hill had two major horizons. One horizon is the nummulitic limestone horizon, and the upper part was the coralline limestones. So, that coralline limestones of the upper Oligocene period, which we are getting here on the riverbed of the Wire. So, this upper Oligocene sections is preserved over here, and few kilometers ahead of it, the large upper Oligocene and Miocene boundary, which is only preserved in the world here. Earlier it was in the France. Okay. So, to understand the global climatic conditions and regional climatic conditions, generally petroleum geologists do study such transgressive regressive sequence and climatic change sequence for their study in the subsurface geology. So, that this particular site should be preserved for larger perspective for the academicians as well as for the research scientists.
A tortoise-shaped landscape of Kutch mentioned in the post-Ashoka period literature owing to its geographic shape. It implies that the early people had incredible technology to measure and map the landforms at minor scale to the enormous size, for which we now use the satellite data. It is in fact the wasteland for the humans, so the Sanskrit name Arena. But contrary to its name, Kutch is geologically the most significant landscape, where the geological processes are seen happening and the rocks in making. Hence we say the natural rock factory.
The site behind me exposes the spectacular geological fault. If you see a fault line which displaces the continuous sedimentary rock layer, look at this black colored shell and black colored shell over here, which has been displaced by the tectonic forces, and these tectonic forces make the entire sediments into two major blocks. The sandstone behind me is a thickly bedded sandstone, and below it is a shell. This sandstone is basically formed during the Cretaceous period. Cretaceous period, that means it is between 100 to 90 million years old. So, during the 90 million years old time, there was a large river delta. They formed this particular sandstone, and we have a new rock which is called the shell. The two large delta lobes. In between the delta lobes, we have large lagoonal deposits. So, these lagoons, they have richly organic material. So, these organic materials makes the finely bedded or laminated shell. Look at this long wall of the igneous rocks. This is basically formed due to the hot molten magma which injects within the cracks and the faults, and which makes this long wall. The geologists have mapped this entire wall for almost 4 kilometers, and if you go down it is more than 20 kilometers. So, this igneous body which is different than the sedimentary rocks. So, it indicates that in the later generation these igneous rocks have been formed within the sedimentary rocks.
Kodki Fault and Indigenous Dike. The shape of Kutch has a prolonged geological history behind. Probably starts from Pangea splitting way back to 230 million years. The landscape of Kutch has multifaceted biological and geomorphological features of nature.
We are standing here on the dry river of Trambau. It is just 2 kilometers east of Kankot village. So what is the fascinating thing about this place is that if you can see behind me, you have reddish color sandstone. It preserves two different kinds of environment, that is your marine environment and then your terrestrial environment. The fossils indicates that when we broke up from Eastern Africa, we're traveling from the subtropical areas to your tropics. You have belemnites, ammonites resembling nautilus and then squids. Then we have woodlocks, those are bigger than 3 meters, 4 meters. Then we have seeds and horsetails. The rock of this age, that is of 166 million years old, of Jurassic age. And this is a field museum for geologists and people studying particularly paleontology.
Kankot Site. Kutch exposes all types of geological features to basic and applied research by geoscientists. The hills here are residual ones and have resulted by continuous but slow uplift. And the stunning geological features here have equally astonishing origin. One such example nearby geological marvels in Kutch is Tapkeshwari Caves. The caves located on the top of hill which is near to the Tapkeshwari temple are formed by wind erosion in the sandstone rocks. While visiting these caves, one can very clearly witness here the erosional features, weathering present in the caves, and depositioned sedimentary structures like crossed bedding structures. Hummocky cross stratification are well exposed due to Kolean erosion. Some of the evidences found here in form of ancient tools point towards the caves being of Stone Age and a primitive, probably also a shelter for the human beings. Tapkeshwari Caves. The landscape of Kutch has also preserved several sites where planetary scientists can understand several lunar and Martian climatic and geological processes by analog studies. Matana Mud Site. The hills here are residual ones and resulted by continuous but slow uplift. The rivers are all bedrock type and are sculpting the most spectacular landscape features on Earth. The coastline is speckled with sand ridges to extensive mud flats to the ruinous rock cliffs. At places, it is adorned with beautiful Barchan's dunes and varied coastal features.
We are here at Matanamad village, and geology, as you can see behind me, these are the rocks belonging to igneous origin, and as you can see the color is reddish brown to buff because it is showing spheroidal weathering in extreme anaerobic conditions, which is giving you a different kind of clay formations. As you can see, after 65 million years, when the basalt was getting extruded on the surface, the same basalt is getting converted into red lateritic soil due to very hot and humid conditions. And also the special mineral that is present here is jarosite, which is a hydrous aluminum sulfate mineral. And also the significance of this mineral is that it has also been spotted within the same similarity with the Martian landscapes. That is the main reason that planetary scientists have been attracted toward this site. It must be preserved as a geosite for future and geological studies.
Volcanic plug, Dhirnodhar. Kutch is like a nature's geological museum and a large laboratory. Once destroyed, it cannot be recreated. The geo-heritage Kutch is way more than just rocks, riverbeds, hill and gorges. It is a narrative of millions of years of geological history and in need of serious efforts for its recognition and preservation.
Behind me, there is a conical hill, okay, which formed because of the volcanic eruption. That is Dinodar volcanic plug. Basically, the plug is when the magma beneath the crust, when through some vent or crack, when it will come out through a vent, okay, and it will cool down within the vent. Okay, so such feature is known as volcanic plug. Now, if we will talk about the time before 65 million year, when this Indian plate was traveling over the reunion hotspot, that time in this region there are several geological faults which is cutting across the earth crust. So, through that earth crust or through that faults, magma came out, okay, and within the vent magma cooled down. So, the formation of several plugs, Dinodar is one of that plug. If you will see from the above, there is a radial drainage pattern. Now, we are at the core region of the Dinodar plug. The plug is located at the Kutch mainland fault, and behind me you can see a beautiful structure that is known as columnar joint. This joint have formed when the volcanic eruption taken place and the magma cooled down at the shallower depth. That is because of the sudden cooling of the magma, this hexagonal columnar get formed. The spectacular columnar joint in the basalt of this particular Dinodar plug provides a unique opportunity to the students and researchers to understand the cooling mechanism of the magma.
We need to protect our geo-heritage from human activities, or else we will lose in a short time. Such a captivating expanse of landscape with excellent geo-heritage that could be an ideal place for India's first national geopark. All these unique geological features qualify the Kutch Basin to be the beginning of a national geopark in India, promoting geotourism and education. Through this endeavor, we propose to create 10 geostations and 50 geosites grouped under the stations in Kutch Geopark. In the last 2 decades, Government of Gujarat took various initiatives as far as industrial and economic developments and tourism developments are concerned. A momentous uplift of tourism sites such as White Ron, Statue of Unity, Ahmedabad Riverfront and Dholavira archaeological sites are phenomenal examples of the government's efforts. The Gujarat government can now take a lead in establishing geoparks in Kutch Basin to preserve and protect the geological marvels of Kutch.